Hello and welcome to a special interview with The Wire with Congress Rajya Sabha MP and former Minister Jairam Ramesh. In part 2 of this interview, I shall talk to him about his forthcoming biography of V.K. Krishna Menon, India's former controversial defence minister. And I warn you, that book is quite a humdinger. But first, in part 1, I shall talk to Jairam Ramesh about the Congress party. Jairam Ramesh, let's start with Maharashtra. On the 28th of November, your party, Congress, has forged an alliance with the NCP and the Shiv Sena to form a coalition government in the state. But the Shiv Sena is committed to Hindutva. In fact, its recent manifesto commits it to giving the Bharat Ratna to Veer Savarkar. Many people say this is a first clear sign that Congress is moving away from Nehruvian secularism.
No, it's not true. I think this coalition happened because there was a divorce between the BJP and the Shiv Sena. They were pre-poll allies. Because of the high-handedness of the BJP, the Shiv Sena decided to part ways with the BJP. The NCP sensed an opportunity and forged this coalition. We were pre-poll allies with the NCP.
But the problem is the Shiv Sena remains
in a way,
a Hindutva party.
It's a Chanakyan maxim. The enemy of my enemy becomes my friend.
At the cost of your principles.
No, it was not. We hammered out a common minimum program. And a common minimum program by definition, is a negotiated document where all parties, make some adjustments. But
quote,
I do not think that any fundamentals have changed.
Well, let me quote from that, because that's what I'm going to suggest you has changed. The Mahavikas Agadi, as your government calls itself, in its common minimum program has committed itself to uphold the secular values enshrined in the constitution.
Yes.
But on the very day he took his oath in the assembly, Uddhav Thackeray said, and I'm quoting, "I'm still with the ideology of Hindutva, which cannot be separated from me."
And which he went on to say, he went on to say that for me, Hindutva means keeping the word which I give to my colleagues.
Hang on a second. If that's what he meant at the time, it's not how his party acted last week.
Listen,
last week, they voted for the Citizenship Amendment Bill in the Lok Sabha, and they didn't vote against it in the Rajya Sabha.
They walked out in the Rajya Sabha.
They didn't vote against it. They could have.
They walked out because they had one of the two.
Walking out helps
one
the BJP.
Of the two had some personal.
It brings the numbers down.
Personal engagements. But I'm not defending.
It helps the BJP.
I'm not defending what the Shiv Sena has done. I'm just saying it is an awkward moment, no doubt. And this is only the beginning of a relationship. We have just begun. We have fought each other for almost 4.5 decades, going back to the early 90s.
Let me quote your former party president, Rahul Gandhi. This is what he tweeted at the time of the CAB. The CAB is an attack on the Indian Constitution. Anyone who supports it is attacking and destroying the foundation of our nation. The Shiv Sena supported it in the Lok Sabha. The Shiv Sena, according to Rahul, is destroying the foundation of our nation.
Yeah,
but they're your allies.
I don't think you can make that leap because parties take positions because of certain compulsions, because of their own ideological predilections. Sure, Shiv Sena has had a commitment to the Hindutva agenda ever since they had this alliance with the BJP.
They still do. Don't put it in the past tense.
No, I think that the Shiv Sena also recognizes that if they have to make this coalition work, that it requires all sides to make compromises. It makes all sides to make adjustments.
What compromise did they make over the CAB?
Sorry?
They voted for it in the Lok Sabha.
But they walked out in the Rajya Sabha.
But they didn't vote against it.
They walked out in the Rajya Sabha.
What you're forgetting is that when you walk out in the Rajya Sabha, you bring the numbers down, and therefore the threshold is easier for the BJP to cross. So they made it easier.
The last time in 2015, when the Citizenship Amendment Bill came in the Lok Sabha, the Congress walked out. So the walkout is a form of a protest. The walkout is, in a way, expressing discontent, dissatisfaction, and disagreement.
Except that your party was pushing for the Shiv Sena to vote against it in the Rajya Sabha. You had to agree to a walkout, but that's not was your preference.
Obviously, we would have preferred. Obviously, we would have liked and preferred the Shiv Sena to be present in. They have 3 members in the Rajya Sabha. It would not have made a difference, but still, the fact that they were in coalition with us would certainly have been a very plus point. By the way, even when we had a UPA, let me just mention this, when we had a UPA, we had 14 parties in the UPA, there were many issues on which the UPA coalition partners voted against each other.
But not on the issue of secularism. Secularism is a different issue.
In the case of the famous nuclear deal, the CPM and the CPI, the RSP and the Forward Bloc actually walked out of the coalition.
But hang on a second. That is not fundamental to the very nature and identity
Of
and
the
idea of India.
Constitution.
Secularism is. Now let me come back to this, because it's an important point. Many people say that if you look at the things Uddhav Thackeray is still saying, the way his party is voting and behaving, it seems to many as if Congress has been taken for a ride with what is likely to turn out to be false commitments by the Shiv Sena to secularism.
No,
this rhetoric, and you've fallen for it.
I don't think so. I think this is the Shiv Sena. This is the same Shiv Sena that supported the Congress party in 1975 when emergency was imposed. This was the same Shiv Sena which supported A.R. Antule as Chief Minister of Maharashtra. This is the same Shiv Sena that supported Pratibha Patil for the presidency. This is the same Shiv Sena which broke ranks with the BJP
Except for
to support Mr. Pranab Mukherjee for the presidency.
All of this was known to Sonia Gandhi, and she was still reluctant to get into this relationship. All of this is supposedly known to Rahul Gandhi, and he's still an opponent of this relationship. And the reason the two of them, one reluctant, the other an opponent, is because they believe that this will undermine the commitment to Nehruvian secularism.
I'm not minimizing the anguish that we went through, particularly our leadership went through, in agreeing to this coalition. It was an unusual coalition. Normally coalition, the JDS.
So you accept, for example, there was anguish?
There was anguish. I'm sure there is.
At all levels?
Yes, I'm sure there was anguish.
In other words,
listen, there's no point pussyfooting about this. There was anguish. There was, are we doing the right thing? But ultimately, I think the compulsion.
This was a Faustian compromise.
No, it's not Faustian. It was realpolitik. You want to keep the BJP out. We believe that the BJP.
But Faustian compromises are realpolitik.
And one very important point.
You supped with the devil. You have supped with the devil.
Karan, very important point. Almost every congressman in Maharashtra wanted this alliance. And you people, the commentariat like you, say that one recipe for the Congress's revival is that you should build up state-level leadership.
So you're saying
here the state-level leadership is wanting this tripartite alliance.
So you're saying two very important things. One, that there was anguish in the center of the Congress party in Delhi. As I put it, this was a Faustian compromise. This was, in a sense, supping with the devil.
We have not sold our soul. I don't think we have sold our soul.
Supping with the devil. Supping with the devil.
I would say, if we enter into an alliance with the BJP, which we will never do under any circumstances, that would be selling our soul. I wouldn't call selling, having an agreement with the Shiv Sena. Look at the Shiv Sena's record.
And the other thing you're saying is that there was pressure from the Maharashtra party,
undoubtedly,
because they wanted this.
Undoubtedly, every single
person. And so at the end of the day, you're also saying that Sonia Gandhi,
every single Congress leader of note in Maharashtra wanted this alliance.
So you're also saying by implication that at the end of the day, Sonia Gandhi's hesitation and Rahul Gandhi's objection were overcome by the pressure from Maharashtra who wanted it.
No, this is you're trying. See, ultimately,
this is realpolitik.
This is how decisions get made. You listen to people. The primary stakeholders in this process were the elected MLAs of the Congress party in Maharashtra.
Let me put it like
all
this.
Of them wanted this alliance.
Let me put it like this, and this is a very important concern. You are still, or you were at least, three political opponents coming together. And what binds you...
We were not three political opponents.
Two in one.
Two in one.
And what binds the two in one
is, in fact... The Congress did not make the first move to the Shiv Sena. The first move was the divorce between the Shiv Sena and the BJP. The second move was the NCP coming and working out a compromise with the Shiv Sena. And the third move was the Congress and the NCP and the Shiv Sena devising a common minimum program.
Do you know what you're
saying?
So
this is a three-step process.
Do you know what you're saying? This is the political equivalent of pita nahi pilai gayi hai.
No,
if you still end up drunk, it comes to the same thing.
Listen, there was a pre-poll. There were two pre-poll alliances.
Let's not
One pre-poll alliance split. It was smart of the other pre-poll alliance to take advantage of that split.
There's something in your defensiveness that suggests that even Jairam Ramesh is constantly having to convince himself this was a good thing to do.
I'm not convincing myself because Karan, I grew up in Bombay.
Okay.
I grew up in Bombay. I know what the background of the Shiv Sena is. I have written about it in my book on Krishna Menon, how in the 1967 by-election in Bombay, where Krishna Menon had left the Congress, he ran as an independent candidate. The Congress campaign of S.G. Barve was active cadres were the Shiv Sena.
Let me put
and
this
I also know how much of support S.K. Patil and V.P. Nayak gave to the Shiv Sena.
We'll come to your book in a moment's time. Let's leave that for now. Let's come back to the Shiv Sena. What unites eventually the two and the one? NCP Congress being the two, the one being the Shiv Sena, is a common antipathy to the BJP.
It is one of the elements.
Hang on, let me finish the question.
I think it's one of the elements.
Can I finish the question? How long will it last?
No, it will last.
And therefore, how long can this alliance last?
It will last for 5 years. It is It is an alliance designed to last for 5 years because it is more than common antipathy towards the BJP. It is, if you look at the common minimum program, if you look at the priorities of the common minimum program, in the last 5 years, Maharashtra's agriculture has taken a severe beating under the BJP leadership, and I think that is going to be the common binding factor, a determination to put Maharashtra's agriculture back on track and give the farmers of Maharashtra a far better deal than they got under the 5 years of Mr. Fadnavis.
Do you know what Chandrakant Patil, the Maharashtra president of the BJP, said on the 12th, and that's just 2 days ago? He says, I believe the Shiv Sena will be back with us shortly, and
But
together
you
we'll
know
form a
what
government.
Pankaja Mudde has said yesterday? You know what the other leaders of the BJP, the OBC leaders of the BJP are saying?
Khadse.
Yeah, what are they saying? So there are, look,
But
there's a lot of
Chandrakant
churn.
Patil believes that
There
the
is
Shiv
a
Sena
lot-
will return to their fold and they will form a government, that yours is a
There is
short-lived
a-
experiment, no matter
You can't
who
take
bursts.
every statement that these guys make, obviously, but there's a lot of
So
churn.
you're confident you last all 5 years?
Well, we will certainly make every effort
that
to
of
last
course
5
you will.
years,
No,
obviously.
that's a different answer now. Obviously
No,
you'll
they-
make every
listen,
effort, but are
listen,
you confident you'll succeed?
We have to make it succeed.
You have to
we
do that
are
too.
going to make it succeed.
Neither
we
of
have
those.
To, it's not easy.
Neither of those are an
It's-
answer to my
it's
question.
not easy.
You'll make every effort,
There
and you
are-
have to make it succeed. But I'm saying,
there
will
are a
you
number
succeed?
there are a number of banana peels that we will have to avoid. There are a number of. It's not an easy coalition. We saw what happened in Karnataka. We could not run for 5 years in
Is
Karnataka.
Uddhav Thackeray deft enough to make the compromises necessary? Because really, as far as you and NCP are concerned, he's the one who has to make them. Is he deft enough? Has he got the political skill? Has he got the experience?
Well, I think time alone will tell. But the fact that he actually agreed to this alliance, it was as much, I'm sure, as much painful for him as it was for us.
It may have been only done by him because he wanted to cock a snook at the BJP. He's successfully done it. Has he now got the experience to keep this very difficult ship afloat in what could be choppy, stormy waters for 5 years continuously?
Well, I don't know Mr. Thackeray, except that, whenever I've met him, we have discussed our common. He was a passionate environmentalist. I don't know about his political skills, but I'm sure with the combined and collective effort of Mr. Sharad Pawar, Prithviraj Chauhan, Uddhav
Sharad
Thackeray,
Pawar is the essential
they're all
factor
people.
that has to keep an eye, a watchful eye, and a steady
He's
hand.
the NCP leader. He is the tallest leader of Maharashtra
But he needs
today.
to be the Emenos Grease constantly in Maharashtra,
Yeah.
ensuring
and we have
everything's
leaders
on
like
track.
Ashok Chavan, we have Prithviraj Chauhan, we have Balasaheb Thorat. We have a very strong local level leadership, and I'm sure that it is in nobody's interest to have a quick breakup of this coalition. But as I said, I am not minimizing the difficulties of running this coalition.
Let me put something else that could perhaps help you ensure this coalition survives for at least 3, if not 5 years. And that is that if it stumbles and falls, that alone will bring the BJP back with the majority. And you want to guard against that, which is why it's in your interest to stick together, because if you fall apart, you're divided and finished.
Sure. I mean, I have admitted right in the beginning that the common antipathy towards the BJP
Will keep you going.
is a very major factor keeping this coalition together.
Okay, let's then come now to Jharkhand, where elections are taking place this month.
Yeah.
Now, in the last 6 months, 3 of your PCC presidents have left your party and joined, as far as you're concerned, opposition parties. And if you include Sarfraz Ahmed, who is president of a United Bihar party, it's 4. So you're going into these elections, it seems, in a shambolic state.
No, I think we have a very strong coalition in Jharkhand. I think we have worked out, and this is not a last-minute coalition. It's been a coalition over the last 10 years.
The
We've run a
coalition may be
government.
strong, the Congress party is in shambles. That's the problem.
No, we are contesting, I think, 28 out of 81 seats. But we are contesting
You don't
on
even
coalition.
have a credible face at the moment. Rameshwar Arao is the best you have, and he's your new
Rameshwar Rao
PCC
is,
president. You've
he's-
lost 4
He's
others.
a former minister, former chairman of the National Commission on Scheduled Tribes. Listen, you can't
You really
help,
believe
you can't
that
help
people will
migrants.
vote for
If people
Arao, that
want
he
to
will be
go-
a vote getter
This
for
is what
you?
happened in Maharashtra. People left the NCP, people left the Congress. Most of the defectors, most of the migrants lost the election.
Yeah, and you shrank in Maharashtra to 44.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying, I'm not.
So you're saying to me that the
our own
shambolic
performance-
structure of the Congress
our
party
own
in
performance in
Jharkhand, where you
Maharashtra-
lost 4 PCC presidents in 6 months, is not a problem?
Our own performance in Maharashtra certainly
Then come back
should
to
have been
Jharkhand.
better.
Come
Should
back
have
to
been better.
Jharkhand. Come back to Jharkhand.
Yeah, come back to yes. Let's come
4
back to Jharkhand.
PCC presidents lost in
What
6
is our
months.
objective?
Are you prepared for elections?
What is our strategic objective in Jharkhand? our strategic objective in Jharkhand is to ensure that the BJP does not return to power. And we will do everything, and we have done everything in our power to ensure that this does not
Well,
happen.
let me that on that very point show to you how in fact you're undermining your so-called strategic objective. If your objective is to ensure BJP doesn't return to power, why aren't you supporting Saryu Rai, who is, by the way, contesting against Raghuveer Das, the Chief Minister, and most people believe he has a good chance to win. Instead, you put up Gaurav Vallabh, who hasn't, forgive my language, got a snowflake's hope in hell. Why aren't you supporting Saryu?
Well, Gaurav Vallabh is also a up and coming figure in the Congress party.
He's got a long time before he's up and coming. Saryu Rai could be poised to win. If you supported him, you would have probably defeated Raghuveer Das. That's the way of shattering the BJP, not by putting up your own candidate.
Well, we also have, we are a political party. We cannot abandon all political
I
space.
just thought your strategic objective was to defeat the BJP
we
at all costs.
where we have figures, where we have credible figures who need to
Gaurav
be
Vallabh, a
merged.
credible figure who's going to win the seat? Come on, you're joking.
But he could do well. He could be a figure for the future. He could ensure.
But this is not a moment when you're building up the future, which is 20 years down the road. Your strategic objective is to defeat the BJP.
Raghuveer Das doesn't win.
You're contradicting yourself.
No, I'm not. I mean, listen, Karan, electoral arithmetic is not in TV studios. Electoral arithmetic is in the field.
Hang on a second.
What happens in the field? And it is entirely possible that by putting up a candidate on our own, we will ensure that this is what happened in West Bengal. What do you think happened in West Bengal?
Come back to Jharkhand.
No, I'm just.
You're talking about it all happens on the field. Let me quote your own ally to you. Hemant Soren, the head of the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, on the 20th of November said publicly every non-BJP party should support Saryu. The only major non-BJP party that hasn't heeded his advice is yours, and he's your ally.
Well, there are certain local factors that come into play, and I'm sure this is one such instance where a local factor came into play. But by and large,
but what was the local factor that came into play? If your strategic important concern is to defeat the BJP at all costs, and those are your words, I'm only repeating your words back, then what is this ridiculous local factor that's undermined your strategy?
That remains but once in a while, here and there we do have to make adjustments.
Here and there?
Because we are...
You're waffling.
No, I'm not waffling. We are a political party with a national footprint. We want to keep a presence. We can't abandon the entire political space. We know that what are the problems in a coalition.
Forgive me, a national political party with a national footprint with something like 51 or 52 seats in the Lok Sabha. Last time you had 44.
Seats in the Lok, and we had 23% of the vote. I mean, so it's not, just seats alone is not a measure of the national footprint. Even today, the Congress's presence...
Isn't Congress pretension the reason why you recognize the strategic target but you can't fulfill it? Your pretension comes in the way.
Even today, the Congress's presence across the length and breadth of the country is far deeper than that of the BJP. Even today. Even though we may have 55 seats in the Lok Sabha, 54 seats in the Lok Sabha.
Let me give you another example where instead of achieving your strategic objective of defeating the BJP at all costs, and I keep reminding you, those are your words I'm repeating.
I stick by those words.
Your local problems or your pretensions or your simple inability to do what you think you want to do.
Some local compromises.
Why is Babulal Marandi not part of your alliance now? He was with you in the national elections in May. Why is he not with you now?
Well, you should ask him that question. We were part of a larger alliance with Babulal Marandi.
He says you weren't prepared to make the necessary concessions to accommodate him.
No, see.
You demanded seats that he would have liked to have had.
No, sometimes people make excessive demands which a party like the Congress is not able to accommodate.
Hang on a moment.
You can't.
Look at the way Narendra Modi accommodated Nitish Kumar in Bihar, where he gave
and
him
look at the way Amit Shah
of the
accommodated the Shiv Sena in Maharashtra.
Absolutely. Why are you not capable of similar generosity?
No, you missed the sarcasm.
I wasn't.
You missed the sarcasm.
Forget the sarcasm.
In my Amit Shah accommodating Devendra Fadnavis.
The net result is, look what happened at the Lok Sabha level. They absolutely swept Maharashtra. That's the important point. That's where the accommodation happened.
I'm talking of the post-poll accommodation.
They swept Bihar.
I'm talking of the post-poll accommodation.
Instead to Babulal Marandi. You had him as an ally in May. You lost him now.
We had, and he was.
Why can't he be more generous?
He has pockets of influence. Unfortunately, in many pockets of his influence, we also have we've had a long time.
So there's no compromise you're prepared to make. so that the
No, it's
strategic
not
objective
that,
of defeating
no,
BJP
it's
can be fulfilled? When your interests come in the way, interests first.
Negotiation is give and take. You know, everybody wants to take from the Congress. Nobody wants to give
Congress
to the
ain't
Congress.
doing any giving here.
Because,
look at Sarju Rai,
because the
look
Congress
at
has
Babulal
been the
Marandi.
major
I've given you two
political.
examples.
Everybody wants to make inroads into the Congress.
But hang on a
bastion.
second. Here are two examples I'm giving you where you've refused to give. And there are no inroads
No,
being
because
made into you.
when you take
because
the
you don't have
overall
a hope
picture-
in Jamshedpur East with Gaurav Vallabh.
Overall,
with
the
Sarju Rai, you could have defeated the sitting
overall
chief minister.
picture. In the overall picture, we make a cost-benefit analysis of what we give and what we take. Unfortunately, our experience has always been that small parties demand much more than the Congress is
So
able
on
to
a
give.
cost-benefit analysis, you came to the conclusion it's better to field Gaurav Vallabh, who's likely to lose,
No, I don't.
and
don't-
not support
don't
Sarju
reduce
Rai,
it
who
to
could
Gaurav
defeat the
Vallabh,
chief
yeah.
minister.
Don't reduce
It's
it
a
to Gaurav
strange
Vallabh.
cost. But
You look at the entire picture, you look at the entire combination, and the fact of the matter is there are small parties in a place like Jharkhand which have strong local influences, which want to expand their presence, and very often that expansion of that presence is at the expense of the Congress,
all of this,
which the Congress
but
doesn't
then,
want to do.
Jairam Ramesh, all of this contradicts what you said a moment ago was the strategic concern of Congress, defeat BJP at all costs. But clearly, that's not your strategic concern, it's not your priority. These other matters are.
We can have a strategic objective, but there are always, as I said, room for local level changes, adjustments, compromises. We are living in the world of real politics.
And you think this is a
We are
convincing
living
answer
in the
rather
world
than a
of real politics.
self-contradictory
We're
one?
not running a military campaign
You
here.
think this is a convincing answer to the audience rather than a self-contradictory one?
No, there's not. I'm not saying anything self-contradictory here. I'm saying there is a grand strategic objective, but within that objective, there are very often compromises that have to be made. That's the nature of politics. That's the nature of accommodating people in the political establishment.
So far, we've talked about two states, Maharashtra and Jharkhand. Let's now come to a critical issue that dominated the news at the center.
Karan, you live in a world of absolutes. I don't live in a world of absolutes. You live in a world of black and white. I live in a world of grey. Okay, so sometimes you have to make these adjustments and compromises.
You live in a world. You live in a world where you set yourself strategic targets and undermine them.
You can
with
use
local
phrases
concerns.
like Faustian bargain. I mean, all these things, wonderful phrases.
Let's get out of that.
When you
I want to now come to
grey,
you. I want to now
far more complex.
I want to now raise
it's not a
with
binary
you,
world.
I want to now raise with you an issue that was of dominant national importance last week, the
Which is?
Citizenship Amendment Bill.
Yeah.
Actually, now it's the Citizenship Amendment Act. You're one of the MPs that has petitioned the Supreme Court on the grounds that you believe this is unconstitutional. What are your key arguments?
Well, we have made these key arguments repeatedly
Which
in
are?
Parliament, and that fundamentally it violates Article 14 of the Constitution.
Why do you say that?
And then there are
but explain why you say that.
There are many other articles of the Constitution which are violated brazenly and with impunity, because for the first time, the Citizenship Amendment Act of 55 has been amended on more than 6 occasions. But for the first time, very first time, religion is being used as a basis of according citizenship. Now, partition took place in 47, and undoubtedly religion was a basis of partition. The Constitution of India came into being 3 years after independence. It came into being on the 26th of January 1950. That Constitution of India rejects the idea of using religion as a criteria for determining citizenship. And that is what the latest Citizenship Amendment Act does.
Let me give you Amit Shah's response to that. We're talking primarily, not exclusively, but primarily about the claim that this breaches Article 14. Now, he says,
there are many other articles.
I understand that. But
there's Article 21, there's Article 15.
Let's, for coherence sake,
there's Article 8.
Let's, for coherence sake, focus on
Article 14.
Amit Shah's response is that this has been done on the basis of reasonable classification, which is permitted. On what basis do you argue that this is not a reasonable classification?
But it's an unreasonable classification, because on the one side you are saying Hindus, Sikhs, Parsis, Buddhists, Jains, and whatever. And the other side, what is the other side?
No, let me answer.
And you're including all religions on one side, and you're leaving another.
Let me presume to answer for Mr. Shah.
Yeah.
I'm repeating what he said repeatedly, both in the Lok Sabha and in the Rajya Sabha. He says this is the reasonable classification for three reasons. First of all, it concerns three countries only: Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan.
Why doesn't it cover Myanmar?
Just a moment.
Why doesn't it cover Sri Lanka? Why doesn't it cover Nepal?
I'm attempting to
Why doesn't it cover Bhutan?
I'm attempting to.
No,
I'm
Karan.
attempting to give you the answer.
No.
If you pause a moment, I'll give you the answer. Pause a moment.
I am giving you the Karan Thapar
The
treatment.
reason why these three countries together form a reasonable classification which excludes other countries is because A, they are neighbors, B, they have a constitution which identifies Islam as the official state religion, and C, minorities as a result are persecuted. He says.
Are you telling me that Hindus in Bangladesh are being persecuted?
Hang on, I'll tell you why Bangladesh doesn't.
I mean, the only country in the region which has with which we have amicable relations today, and you see what has happened. Two senior ministers of the Bangladesh government have cancelled their visits to India. I mean, what sort of arguments are these?
I'm not talking about the extent to which Bangladesh feels slighted and therefore has acted hurt. I'm talking still about the basis on which Mr. Shah says these three countries form a reasonable classification, which he insists does not include any other country.
Why,
can I finish?
So why doesn't he respond to Mr. Chidambaram's argument in Parliament that you produce the legal opinion? Produce the legal opinion of the Attorney General, which substantiates your political arguments. Mr. Shah's arguments are political. There must be some legal backing.
No.
There must be some legal backing. No. Where is that legal backing?
The government is not required to produce the legal backing in Parliament.
You're making legal arguments.
No. It's only required to do it in court,
not in Parliament. They will have to do it.
Let me come back to the argument, because since you've gone to court, I want you to tell me why his argument in your eyes doesn't stand up.
Well, my lawyers will say that in court. Let me give you the same.
Let me repeat his argument, because I think it's important the audience should understand it. He says the basis on which three countries, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan, form a reasonable classification is that A, they are neighbors, B, they have a constitution which officially identifies a state religion, which happens to be Islam, and C, as a result, minorities are persecuted. And he says no other country fits into that description because those three criteria don't apply to any other country. Can you name a country to which they do?
First of all, Karan,
can you name a fourth country to which they do?
I don't want to preempt the arguments that will come up.
I'm just asking a factual question. Can you name a fourth country?
And can I name a fourth country?
To which those three criteria apply?
Well, there is the Islamic Republic of Iran. It's not a neighboring country.
Precisely.
It's not a neighboring
so those three criteria don't apply.
Not exactly a neighboring country.
So but that's what I'm saying. Can you name a fourth country to which those three? You can't. You accept that. You can't.
If you define it that way, if you define three neighboring countries which have declared Islam to be the state religion, these are the only three countries which have declared Islam to be a state religion.
It's not necessarily Islam that has to be the state religion. The fact that they have a state religion is the important thing.
Yeah, they have a state religion of Islam. They have declared, they're called the Islamic Republic, right? So that's a factual statement.
There is a fourth country. I'm surprised you don't
know
about it. No, Maldives is not a
neighboring country.
Bhutan.
Yeah, but I said Bhutan right at the beginning.
But you didn't when I asked you just now which name a fourth country. Bhutan is the only other country that is a neighbor, that has an official religion, and where there is discrimination. Sorry?
You asked me whether Islam is a religion.
I said they have an official state
this
religion.
Argument was made in Parliament, my dear sir. We raised the issue of Bhutan.
Why?
We raised the issue of Sri Lanka. Forget Sri Lanka.
Then that is the
Bhutan.
Basis on which, as Shahzan Faizan, writing in the Hindu 2
and
days
Christians
ago,
are persecuted.
Precisely. Why aren't you making that the basis?
We have made these arguments, and they will be made in the Supreme Court. They will be made. If you read, I don't want to, talk about my petition. It's unfair. The matter is coming up in the Supreme Court shortly. I hope it will be heard soon. But these arguments were made by Mr. Chidambaram, were made by Mr. Anand Sharma, and were made by Mr. Kapil Sibal in the Rajya Sabha, to which Mr. Amit Shah did not have any answer.
A lot will depend in court on the conviction and the factual knowledge of the lawyer that fights your case for you. Who have you chosen?
Well, you'll see that on Monday.
Why is it a secret?
No, it's not a secret.
Why did you give me the name now?
We have a battery of lawyers who will be appearing on behalf of.
Who's your lead lawyer? Who's your lead lawyer?
I have a number of lawyers. I don't want to reveal them right now.
Why?
No, they'll be visible. They'll be visible in the court. I don't want to reveal it right now. There will be. There's no secret also on this. You can guess. Your guess will be very intelligent and will be a very informed guess.
Is it a party colleague of yours?
They'll all be party colleagues of mine.
So you're talking about Kapil Sibal, Abhishek Singhvi, Manish Tiwari, possibly Chidambaram.
They are all distinguished lawyers. We don't have a shortage of distinguished lawyers, and they'll all appear for me.
Let me come to a fourth issue. While the country
There may be
was-
lawyers outside the Congress party who don't have formal affiliations with the Congress party who also could appear.
In other words, you're going to put the best possible
Yes,
collection of lawyers.
absolutely. It's the best and the brightest.
Okay. Let's come to another issue, because while the attention of the nation was understandably fixated over the CAB,
Yeah.
the BJP has actually done away with political reservations for Anglo-Indians in Parliament as well as in 14 state
By the way,
assemblies.
small point of the CAB. For 50 to 60 years, the BJP ran a campaign against the inner line permit. Mr. Vajpayee carried on a sustained campaign against the Nehruvian Elvin policy of the ILP. And what has the BJP government of Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah done?
Extended it to one
the
new state.
ILP. So, I mean,
and
you
so
know,
they're
this
going
is
back on
sheer
position.
hypocrisy.
Yeah. Well, I
Sheer
don't know whether it's hypocrisy, but it is definitely a change of position and a change
They've
of
changed
mind.
the position. For 60 years you've been attacking ILP, and now you suddenly discover the virtues of an ILP to get yourself out of the CAB imbroglio.
You know what Keynes said about changing your mind. When the facts
Yes,
change,
I
I
know.
change my
I
mind.
agree,
What
I
do you
agree, I
do?
agree. What do
They
you
could,
do, sir?
they
What
could
do you
give
do,
you
sir?
that answer as
What
well.
do you do, sir?
Let's come back now to this fourth issue, because I think it's an important one. The BJP has made it clear, and in fact it has already done away with political reservations for Anglo-Indians,
Yes.
both in Parliament and 14 state assemblies. And Ravi Shankar Prasad says that this is because there are only 296 Anglo-Indians in the country.
There are
Now,
about 3 lakhs.
hang on a second. That's
The
what
number
was
has
said.
been-
No,
the number
Ravi
has been
Shankar
challenged.
Prasad has actually said
Yeah.
296.
Yeah, but Derek O'Brien
Not
challenged
Derek,
that number.
Barry O'Brien, Derek's brother,
Yes,
who's the president of the
yeah.
All India Anglo-Indian Association, has said, and I'm quoting him, "The truth is nobody knows how many Anglo-Indians there are in the country. All we know is it's probably somewhere in the lakhs."
Yeah, 3 lakhs.
Now,
Derek said
will-
broadly in the region of 3
Will
lakhs.
this be an issue Congress takes
Well,
up?
we've raised it. No less a person than the leader of the opposition, Ghulam Nabi Azad, raised it. And every single person who spoke in Parliament, with the exception of Swapan Das Gupta, attacked the government on the abandonment of reservations for Anglo-Indians.
So this
and
will
even
be-
Swapan said, while he supports the removal of reservations, political representation for Anglo-Indians, he wants their seminal contributions to the cause of education and culture recorded. I mean, that was.
But is
that was
this
a
going
cop-out.
to be a critical political issue that Congress will battle
We
and
have
fight
raised
for?
it. We have raised it very much.
A lot
It's
of things.
part-
A lot of things are raised in Parliament as part of debates. I'm not talking about the rhetoric in the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. I'm talking about whether this will be an important campaign issue. Because I notice your party has
It's
held
a-
no press conference on this,
It's
and
a-
there's no formal statement from
No,
your party on
it
it.
is a very important issue. It's been taken up. It's been taken up in Karnataka. It's been taken up in Maharashtra. It's been taken up in West Bengal. It's been taken up in a number of states where representation, Chhattisgarh, where representation to Anglo-Indians
Is it
has
possible
formed part
that
of the.
you could go to court on this issue?
Let's see. Right now we are fighting the CAB. One step
could
at a
fight
time.
two issues at the same time.
I'm fighting 2 already. I've also got a petition of the RTI amendments. So let's see. Let's do the RTI and the CAB.
So,
first.
as far as Congress is concerned, this is not
It's
as
an
important
important
as CAB.
issue. No, don't jump to the conclusion that it's an unimportant issue. If it was, it is as important an issue as anything else, and it was raised pointedly by the leader of the opposition. The only thing he said in his speech on the CAB when he was speaking was on what happened to the Anglo-Indians as part of this constitutional amendment bill that came back.
Let me now come to my final issue regarding the Congress party, the leadership. It's almost exactly 4 months
You
since
had to
the
come to
10th of
that.
August when Sonia Gandhi stepped in as interim president, and as far as I can tell, your party has made no effort and taken no step to either elect a new president or appoint a new full-time president. So is it your intention to not do so at all and to let Sonia Gandhi continue by default?
No, I think Mrs. Gandhi has been a hands-on, active president.
But she's an interim president.
Well, she is,
describes
and
herself
she
as
sees
that.
herself as an interim president, and I'm sure
So when
that
are you
in the
going
next
to
couple
take
of months,
steps to put a full-fledged president in place?
I'm sure discussions are on. I'm not privy to those discussions because I'm not a member of the working committee, and I'm sure discussions are on on what should be the roadmap for making sure that we have a full-time president.
Hang on a second.
And we all know that
Rahul
Mrs.
Gandhi stepped down on the 25th of May. Since then, something like 8 months have passed.
We've had a Congress president.
You're still working out
But
the
we've had a
roadmap.
Congress president. We've had a full-time Congress
No, you
president
have a
who's been a
interim
hands-on
president.
Congress
You have
president.
an interim president.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
may
sure,
be-
but she is interim. We all know she's interim. She has said she is interim. However, the fact is, interim doesn't mean that she is not hands-on.
I'm not
interim
saying,
doesn't mean that she's not fully
I'm not asking the
immersed
question,
in the,
is she or is she not hands-on? I'm saying, when are you going to have a full-time president as opposed to an
I'm
interim
sure
one?
in the next couple of months this will happen.
But you've been saying the next couple of months since May. So we can carry on like this till the next 2 years are over.
No, we've had the state elections, we've had parliament, we've had big issues. And look, these are not things that can be said, okay, we're going to have a new president a month from now. These things are part of a well thought out process. There is a system.
Well thought out.
Sure, yeah,
well thought out.
I'm sure it's being thought out
as
at the
opposed
highest
to
levels.
you're just letting it slide and slide and slide.
I don't think so.
Do you know why people say you haven't got a president?
By the way, Karan, we can't discuss leadership issues as a ball by ball commentary. Okay, that too a ball by ball commentary where everybody is
bizarre,
listening and everybody is commenting
that the
on.
oldest party in India
Yeah.
that hopes one day to come back to power has a leadership vacuum right at the top
By the way,
and is allowing it to continue
By the way, the
almost
oldest party in the
interminably.
world almost. Sorry?
And is allowing the leadership vacuum to continue interminably.
There is no leadership vacuum right now. I reject the idea
An interim
that there is
president is a leadership vacuum.
There is no leadership vacuum. We have a Congress president who is fully active, who is hands-on, but we all know that she has come under extraordinary circumstances, the background to her coming back as Congress president, and I believe she made it clear that she is interim.
Can I put this to you? Most people say the reason why no real concrete meaningful steps have been taken to put a new full-time president in place is because you're still hoping that Rahul Gandhi will change his mind and come back. And you know better than me that your party behind closed doors is making active efforts to bring him back.
Well, I am not privy to any of those efforts. I don't know what Mr. Gandhi's plans are. All I know is that we have a Congress president, we have a full-time Congress president, we have a Congress president who's fully engrossed in running the Congress party to the best of her abilities, and we all support him.
Let me ask you a different question. Would you, Jairam Ramesh, welcome Rahul Gandhi returning as Congress president?
I have a Congress president whom I'm working under.
Interim.
And I have,
interim.
For me, whether it's interim
Would you
or non-interim, it doesn't
welcome
matter.
Rahul Gandhi
It doesn't
as the
matter.
full-time president?
It doesn't matter whether it's interim or non-interim. There is a Congress president, and it's my duty to work for the Congress president
But I asked
and
you
do
a
whatever the
different
Congress
question.
president asks me to
I
do.
asked you
Whoever the Congress president
I
is.
asked you a different question. Would you welcome Rahul Gandhi
No,
returning as
my
Congress
welcoming,
president?
not welcoming is immaterial.
It's not. It's the
It is
question I'm
immaterial.
asking you.
No, it's immaterial. What is material is there is a Congress president and we need to support the hands of that Congress
I
president.
want to read your answer and interpret for the audience. It is so easy for you to say, I would welcome him, I would want him, I would value
it
that.
is immaterial.
You're saying it's immaterial is because you don't want to say, no, I don't want him back.
no, no,
the truth is you don't want him back, but you can't say it, so
I
you
can
say
see,
it's immaterial.
I can see the headline in your press release on this interview, but you are going to be absolutely mistaken. My views, my approach is very simple. There is a Congress president.
Interim.
Yeah, sure. What does meaning interim?
Interim means for the time being
Yeah, so
only.
as
That's
long
what
as-
it means.
as long
but
as
your for the time being only
As-
stretches
yeah,
for decades.
Yeah, I'm also an interim member of parliament. I mean, what is this word
No, you're
interim?
not. You're a full-fledged member of parliament.
Yeah,
You're elected for
time
5
being.
years or 6.
Yeah, she is interim, fine. But
Precisely,
she's a
for the
full
time being. She's a stopgap measure.
She's not a part-time.
She's a stopgap measure.
She's a stopgap full-time Congress president.
No, she's a
not a
stopgap hands-on,
part-time.
not full-time.
She's a full-time Congress president.
Let me raise another issue with you. A senior colleague of yours, Salman Khurshid,
And
in an
whoever
interview-
becomes, let me add.
You have a
whoever
great
is- whoever
tendency
is-
to keep
let me
bringing
add
up
this.
things even when
Let
we're
me add
changing
this.
subject.
Whoever is Congress president, I will give 100% of what I have to whoever the Congress president is.
That is to be expected, but that's not what I was asking.
No. Listen, I don't want to get into the realm of speculation because I have not discussed this matter with Mr. Rahul Gandhi, whether he wants to come back, whether he doesn't want to come back. He had a tenure as Congress president for accepting moral responsibility for what happened in the 2019 elections. He decided to give it up. I respect his views. This is his decision.
So should pressure be put on him by the party to change his mind?
I-
Because it still is happening.
I am not part of any group.
No, but should it happen?
Maybe it is happening. Maybe, secretly I want, but I'm not going to share it with you. I'm not going to share it with you because for me, it's far more useful to focus on the job in hand, which is to execute what the present interim full-time Congress president
Interim and
has
full-time
asked
are
me
contradictory. You can't be
no,
both.
no, interim and full-time
Hands
are not
on is what you
contradictory.
mean, not full-time.
No, sorry.
Hands on.
Sorry. Interim and full-time.
Okay. Let me now raise with you a second issue that Salman Khurshid, in an interview to Associated Press, mentioned just a couple of weeks ago. He says, Congress is taking too long to come to terms with its defeat. He adds, we haven't really got together to analyze why we got defeated. And it's almost 7 months since that defeat. This vacillation, to most people, feels like irresponsibility.
No, I'm not so sure that. I'm sure the Congress. See, as I said, I'm not privy to the discussions at the top. I'm not a member. Neither is Salman, for that matter. So I don't know on what basis Salman has made this comment. I'm sure that in the working committee, following the 2019 election results, there must have been some discussion. I'm not privy to this
Hang on a second.
I can't believe.
If people like Salman, who's a former foreign minister, if people like
But
you,
he's not a
former
member of the working committee.
But
How can I know
it's
what's
not a
happening in the
closed
working
door
committee?
secret within the working committee. People are informed that the discussion is happening. There's a process. There's a formal way. None of that is known to you people.
We have discussed informally amongst ourselves.
Yeah, in drawing rooms. In drawing rooms.
We have discussed informally amongst ourselves. Has there been an Antony committee to analyze what happened in 2019? No. Has there been an official committee set up to analyze our campaign, what went wrong with our campaign?
No.
Why didn't we?
No.
No. Answer is no. Should there have been? The answer is yes.
And why hasn't there been?
I don't know. Should there have been an institutional post-mortem of our 2019 election campaign? Yes.
Why hasn't there been?
I have no idea why it is not
Who's
happening.
responsible for that not happening?
I can't say. I'm not part of the high command. I'm not part of the decision.
Let me ask you a different question. Is this a responsible way for a party to behave? For 7 months, not institute a proper inquiry into its defeat?
If you ask me whether there should have been immediately an institutional inquiry into our campaign, the pluses and the minuses, we had our pluses, but we had our minuses. Obviously, the minuses overweighed the pluses with the result which came out as the way it did. There have been these institutional postmortems in the past.
Not now.
Not now. Should there have been? Yes.
Is it?
Are we hurting because there has been no institutional postmortem? The answer is yes.
So is this irresponsible of the party?
No, I'm not using the word irresponsible, because I don't know what the full picture is. All I'm saying is, if somebody had asked me, nobody has asked me, if somebody had asked me, should there be an institutional postmortem, I would have said yes. Somebody had asked me, should it be done immediately, I would have said yes. By now that postmortem should have been done. It's not as if we haven't.
What does it tell you about Congress that none of this has happened?
It's not as if we haven't done this in the past.
Absolutely.
We have done this. We've done this for the 2014 election.
And what does it tell you about the state of Congress that this hasn't happened this time around?
Maybe the shock of what happened in 2019 is too
7
deep.
months later?
Still, perhaps it's still too deep. And then there were other things that intervened.
Such as
state assembly. We had these assembly elections. We had parliament. We had the resignation of Mr. Rahul Gandhi. We had to bring Mrs. Gandhi's return as interim full-time Congress president. So all these things may have preoccupied the time.
Let me ask a
of the
different
leadership.
question. Will this institutional inquiry into why you were defeated ever happen?
It should happen.
Will it ever happen?
I am not in a position to say whether it will happen or it will not happen. All I am in a position to say is it should happen. It should happen sooner rather than later.
You've been very upfront, candid and almost outspoken on this issue. I thank you for that. I'm coming to the end of this interview. Let me ask you 2 quick questions. There's a lot of speculation about Jyotiraditya Scindia. Many people believe he's poised to leave the party.
It's hogwash. It's hogwash. Absolute hogwash. I think Jyotiraditya Scindia is a stalwart congressman. He will remain in the Congress. He has a great future in the Congress. He's had major contributions to the Congress party in Madhya Pradesh and at the national level. And this is gossip.
Is he disenchanted? Is he dispirited? Is he unhappy?
No, he's obviously disappointed that he lost the election. He's been given a responsibility in UP. He's a member of the working committee.
He wants to be the party president in Madhya Pradesh.
I'm not in a position to comment on that because I'm not party to those discussions. But all I can say is it is natural that he is lost in his pocket burrow. But the notion that he's in the departure lounge is absolute hogwash.
My last question. A lot of people of all ages, of all ethnicities, religions, of all economic standards, believe that if the Congress party is ever going to revive and return to power, the Gandhis need to step aside and you need to put in place a new younger generation that will transform the party. And they say the longer that transformation is delayed, the longer you will stick in the doldrums. And then a point could come when people will write off the Congress party and it will be impossible to revive. How do you, a congressman who cares about the party, respond to this view?
Well, is obviously we are in a very serious situation right now, and the type of challenge that we face today is unprecedented. We've had crises in the past, and we've ridden those crises, and we've come back. We've had electoral cycles, but this is far more. This is not just a cyclical problem. We are facing a structural problem, no doubt about it, and it goes at the heart of the organization. It's not just ups and downs of election cycles. We are being tested, our resilience is being tested, and I'm sure that whatever we do, we are going to come out of this much stronger and much more clear that whatever we do, we have the challenge of unseating Mr. Modi in 2019 as a single overriding objective.
There were
2024. Sorry.
There were two stipulations, I won't call them conditions, in the question I asked you. Do you think the Gandhis need to step aside for Congress to revive?
Well, you see, Mrs. Gandhi is the Congress president. Mr. Rahul Gandhi is very much a very important figure. He doesn't have an institutional position in the Congress party, right now, but he continues to be a member of the Congress Working Committee. And he continues to be our star campaigner. He is the one who's campaigned the maximum.
Should the new president, whenever he or she is chosen, be a non-Gandhi?
It's up to the Congress Working Committee. It's up to the Electoral College that constitutes, which will be constituted.
Do you need a generation change, which was the second stipulation?
You see, this younger generation, older generation is largely exaggerated in the Congress party. This so-called generational gap, this so-called generational divide, this so-called generational confrontation, I think is largely exaggerated. I don't see that happening. We have a very large...
When you say you don't see that happening, you don't see youngsters taking over?
I don't see that generational clash. I think we have people belonging to different ages, working together, and I think we have a large number of experienced seniors, we have a large number of experienced people in the sandwich generation, and we have a large number of exuberant youngsters. And I think the collective, it's going to be the collective effort of the Congress party rather than one person swinging a magic wand that is going to revive the Congress party.
Jairam Ramesh, let's leave this first half of the interview there.
And one final comment on the first thing. I think the Congress party will revive not through individuals, it will revive through processes and systems. And it is to put in place processes and systems. We spend far too much time on individuals.
What sort of processes and systems are you talking about?
We should have a separate interview on
tell me very
processes and
quickly, what
systems.
sort of processes
We should
and
have
systems?
processes and systems. We are an organization. We have to run like an organization. And I think individuals are important, but ultimately what will get us out of the situation which we are in is to go back to what the Congress party was all about. It was all about systems, it is all about processes, it is all about people working together, accommodating different
And
points
are you
of
also
view.
saying that whenever you have a new president, it must be an elected president and an open election where everyone is free to compete?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with having I agree with Shashi Tharoor, by the way. When Shashi made, I think he must have made
To
this.
me.
If to you, yeah, I mean, who can be against an open, transparent election process where anybody is free to
I
contest?
also said to Shashi that he should have been the Congress Legislature Party leader in the Lok Sabha rather than Hari Ranjan Chaudhary.
No, listen, I have no illusions. I mean, I'm not going to be a contestant in that election. But if you're asking me whether the idea is of having an open election, opening up the election to everybody, having an electoral college, having an election machinery is a good idea and will help the Congress to revive, my answer is an unequivocal yes.
Thank you. Let's end this particular part of the interview there. In part 2, I want to talk to you about your book, It's a biography of India's perhaps most controversial former Defence Minister V.K. Krishna Menon, and it's released later this month. That will be a separate part 2, which we will put up separately. Today has been about the Congress Party. Within 24 hours, we will go up with a separate link, which will be part 2, where I will talk to Jairam Ramesh about his forthcoming book. See you in part 2.
To receive instant updates on all videos from The Wire, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Pay to support independent journalism. Click the link in the description and choose the amount you want to pay.